I would like to pass it on for our panelists today for introductions.
Thanks, Sandine. So I'm Iris Bergero. I'm a professor of international management here at Bentley University and am co-leading this program with Tony and Heiko, and really excited to be talking to everybody about it.
And I'm Tony Kashevsky. I'm an associate professor here. I'm a vector ecologist by training, meaning like ticks and mosquitoes and everything that carries diseases like that. And I'm along to kind of help provide some of the ecological context to things. So.
Hello, everybody. My name is Heiko. I am professor here at Fundação do Cabral, who is your Brazilian host for this journey to the Amazon. And I'm happy to see that we have some Brazilian colleagues here as well, from our alumni network and I don't know, maybe current programs as well. So I'll be the person who's in charge on sustainable business in the Amazon and together with our team, getting you safely there and hopefully safely back as well. So, but we tested this last year already with Iris and Anthony, so we're pretty much looking forward to this journey with you.
If I may just introduce myself briefly. So my name is Marcele. I'm the Associate Dean of Innovation and International Development for our degree programs here at FDC. And just to say that this is a brand new initiative that we're launching this joint program with Bentley, and we hope we have a very international cohort with Bentley students, FDC students, and other partner schools that have been invited to this program. So yeah, thank you.
And no, I'm not technically a leader of the program here. I am, so my name is Charlie. I work with Sandine on the support team for faculty-led programs here at Bentley University. Have the pleasure of meeting Heiko back in November and doing some work for this trip, and I'm very excited for all of you for the opportunity.
Thank you for all introductions.
So maybe while Sandine is showing the video, I can talk a little bit about what our objectives are from my perspective and let Tony and Heiko jump in. So we really want to bring an integrated perspective on sustainability around both business and the science and social side of sustainability to demonstrate how companies can actually work with society and with organizations and the environment to bring solutions to sustainability issues. And so the team of us really brings that integrated perspective. I bring the lens of management strategies, stakeholder engagement, how culture influences the way that we think about organizations and their purpose, and to really bring a perspective of what does it take for an organization to change the way that it thinks about doing business such that it is a sustainable organization and helps with sustainability issues that go beyond just the corporate walls, but into the society and the environment and the economy. Tony brings a very different perspective, and I'll let him speak to that.
Well, I'm along on the trip just to kind of help provide a little context, like I said, to what's at stake, why sustainability is important, what aspects of conserving the ecological function of the Amazon region is important, both regionally and globally. Just how it kind of all fits together, what happens when it's perturbed, and a little bit about the track that we're on in terms of like global emissions, what companies' goals for ESG how that relates to what's actually happening globally, and how that will impact climate change. So, and really, I'm also there to identify any weird bugs that you find. So that's my specialty. Really, as a scientist, I work with exotic, mosquitoes and things like that. So I'll be bringing the best repellent in the world with me that you can borrow, and actually it wasn't that bad for mosquitoes when we went last time. So, but that's my role. It's basically to complement the more policy and business aspects of this excursion. So.
Well, and I think my role is like to bring the business and Brazilian perspective to it. We're going to organize company visits in the Amazon and visits to local communities. And I'm particularly excited about bringing the Brazilian audience together with an international audience, because I think that joint experience helps to understand the local context for strategic decision making, because it helps to understand how complex supply chains are, how dependent they are on natural resources, how biodiversity is a very important ingredient for a couple of industries, how innovation can be inspired by local solutions. So we're going to look at what are financing institutions doing in Brazil regarding sustainability and business financing businesses or not financing businesses in the Amazon. We're looking to visit some of these organizations, have interactions with these organizations who are invested, who have become invested, and provide solutions and economic development while at the same time driving local development. We're gonna have that immersive experience, which I think in itself is a transformational experience for a lot of people who have heard about the Amazon, but have never been there and experienced it. So I think it's particularly for European and American audiences to understand the complexities about natural protection and protecting the rainforest. And the role of local communities in that endeavor is critical to understand, and to see like how international and national partnerships between companies can inspire innovation, can inspire different solutions to the business problems you're facing, but also like enhancing on the environmental and social performance of the organizations in which you work, or in which you wish to work. So I'm really excited because we're going to visit a lot of interesting organizations, while at the same time having a real interaction with the communities living in the Amazon forest, sharing their experiences and how businesses from around the world impact not only their commercial and economic development, but also the impacts of climate change, which are becoming more and more visible in these communities. And I wonder if there are any questions from our audience. I'm really curious to understand like what made you guys dial in this evening, and if there are any questions you are having. And if you want to do this in Portuguese as well, because I know from our MBA experience, some of you guys are shy to communicate in English. So if you want to type in Portuguese, no problem. We'll make the translation on the spot.
Thank you, Heike, for that. Iris, would you like to give a quick overview of what we will be doing in Manaus?
Sure. Thanks, Sandine and Heiko. So company visits, these aren't tourism visits. These are opportunities to actually speak to the leaders in organizations who are dealing with these issues within their context. So in Manaus, there is a free trade zone, and interesting history about how that free trade zone came to be and how some of these both global, very large global players and smaller organizations are housed in Manaus, and what it means for them to be in that context in the Amazon, on the river, close to the port where shipments of materials and products come in and out, and the kinds of decisions that they're dealing with on a daily basis, and to be able to actually interact with them around the context that they are in and trying to achieve issues of sustainability, economic sustainability, organizational, environmental, and to work both on the global scale, but on a very local scale. And so the company visits really allow you to interact with people, to ask questions, to get into the details of what does it actually mean to, for instance, ship products from Manaus? What does it mean to be in a free trade zone? Why be in this area in the Amazon? What does that context bring to you? And of course, also do some cultural visits within Manaus, and to really experience what life is like there. I know when Tony and I went last year and we're under the guidance of Heiko and fellow mentors, it was really eye-opening for us. It's one thing to read about that context and to see it in the news or in social media. It's another to actually be in Manaus and see what that is like. Tony, anything that you would add around that?
About the Manaus section?
Yeah.
Well, I think we can actually say one thing that was particularly of interest to me in Manaus is that the opportunity it gives for other ventures that otherwise would not be available, like the free trade zone, potentially might take some pressure off of, for example, deforestation and stuff, just by giving, alternative ways of making income in the region and stuff. And so that's an interesting aspect, and we can study that. That's actually kind of controversial in a sense. We can actually even talk about why it's controversial, how much that impacts what would actually impact other forest livelihoods if it's not happening already. So that was one thing that struck me, just kind of having a city embedded in the middle of the Amazon like that. How does that interact? And also, how is it affected by, again, ecosystem services is a big part of my lens. What intact ecosystems provide for people from small villages to big towns to a big city like Manaus. How does the network of supply of clean water and agricultural products, how does that impact? What kind of footprint does Manaus have? Be another aspect that I'm interested in pursuing from the city. So see, there's some questions popping up in the chat.
And Heiko, one of them is definitely for you because it's in Portuguese, I think.
No, the Portuguese part is from Suddenly, but like Bernadette is asking, like, what were the learnings? So Iris and Tony were with us on two experiences which were like closely related last year. Which one? The first was a group of 40 Chinese CEOs from SAIP's business school, and then a group of 15 executive MBA participants from AGC, and that were our first experiences of organizing that learning journey in the Amazon. So there were a couple of adjustments we did right now. First of all, the Bentley program is longer. So we have more time to really dig deep into the experience, not only in Manaus, to understand like how companies are approaching sustainability and the Amazon ecosystem, but also understand like how politics interact, how the city governance is structured, and how the Amazon state is dealing with sustainability issues. So I think that's one thing. And the other thing is like, we have learned from past visits, like what is of more interest for the participants, as well, like who are better speakers or not so good visits and not so good speakers. So I think like as we go along, we always learn about, okay, what is of interest to the students, what is of what are the latest trends, who are good speakers, what's worthwhile visit in Manaus, as well as like once we're on the river. So these are considerations we have taken into account, and as well the connection with with businesses outside the Amazon, like how do banks finance or not finance initiatives in the Amazon, and preparing better the visits we're doing with written case study material, so that participants can prepare for the visits, and already when we are there in the community or in the organizations we're visiting, we can get to a more profound discussion right away.
I think one of the things that I'd add to that, Heiko, that we learned last year is how to actually do this as a multidisciplinary perspective. I'm a cross-cultural management person. Tony is an entomologist and an expert in global health systems. Heiko brings sustainability and the Brazilian perspective to this. And the first thing that we had to do was learn from each other about how to look at this experience from different lenses and what we could bring together, and how that diversity of perspectives and diversity of our own cultures enabled us to build something that was much richer than if it was delivered in a unidimensional perspective. So I think that's one of the key things that I got from last year, is just how do you do this with people who have very different views, and how do you see the experience through the eyes of somebody else and learn through that. And that's what we bring then to others that we bring along on this journey, right?
And speaking of multi-perspectives and some of the visits that you touched on, Heiko, would you like to talk a little bit about some of the community members that I know FDC has already engaged in the past, and also their lineup for this trip in May?
Well, we're very fortunate to count with local representatives, which is Fundação Amazônia Sustentável, particularly Virgílio Viana, who is also on the, how do I say this right? A pontifical committee of the Pope, working on local development and climate change. So with the help of our friends at FAS, we are able to visit communities who have switched from deforestation practices to sustainable tourism. We're gonna see as well like how more traditional communities survive by generating income from strictly tourism initiatives. We're gonna have the chance, as they're very well related into various organizations operating from Manaus and the rest of the Amazon, to have the opportunity to talk to very high-level executives and leaders, sharing their perspectives and their experiences over decades operating in that kind of context. So we're very happy to have FAS as a partner. And for example, the guy we're gonna see here, Roberto, who was touching the tree, in the video you potentially saw here on the presentation. He has been like working and cutting down the forest because that was the way he could provide income for his family. And he personally will share his story, like how he changed from that, became a community leader, and now engaged in sustainable tourism. So we're gonna have the grassroots discussion, and we're gonna have the very high level discussion, like how politicians and organizational leaders are approaching these challenges. And I think that's a very, very rich experience. Yeah, looking from the bottom up and from the top down regarding business sustainability and these challenges we see in the Amazon.
And Heiko, to keep us going, do you want to talk a little bit about the itinerary from Manaus all the way up to Novo Airão?
Yeah, sure. So we're gonna embark in Manaus on a ship which takes us to a couple of communities. Like I said, like they're very close to Manaus. There's the Tumbira community, which is now very well organized, and they provide us with a more traditional experience on how communities were living with and in harmony with the forest. We're gonna have on the boat lectures with people like Virgílio Viana, who is the founder and president of Fundação Amazonas Sustentável. So he has a very rich experience and will share us, like, get an introduction to what is this context of the Amazon? What are we talking about if we talk about the Amazon? Because there are different Amazons. There's like the Amazon as a state, the Amazon as an ecosystem which spans several countries, the Amazon as a water reservoir responsible for global climate, and as well as the flying rivers, which are very important for agriculture all over Latin America. So we're gonna have speakers on board, and we're gonna finish the whole trip in a resort, in a tourism resort, which is obviously like one of the industries which is most likely to, on the one hand side, give experiences about the Amazon and how it is to be in this incredible ecosystem, but also from a business side to understand, like, okay, what are the challenges and what are the benefits of operating tourism activities, hotels, and locations in that kind of ecosystem where you have sometimes like you have to travel by boat. I don't really now remember because I haven't been at that estate before, but I imagine it takes us a couple of days to get there. So so yeah, like in a nutshell, the trip will be a mixture of inputs on the boat, experiences with communities, and experiences as well with sustainable tourism initiatives along the river, which we then reflect upon in the discussions on the boat.
Thank you, Heiko. Marcelo, speaking of the boat, I know you have been on the boat yourself. So would you like to speak a little bit about the boat and the infrastructure?
Sure. So we have some nights in Manaus, in the city, right? And we spend some days in the hotel. But whenever we take the boat to the river, there is a very nice boat with cabins, double cabins for the participants and staff. And also all the meals will be included, all the experience on board with, you know, we do some nice things in the end of the day. We have some cocktails, dinners, and everything with this astonishing view of the nature in the middle of the Black River. Don't expect to see mosquitoes in the Black River. Fortunately, they're not there because of the pH of the water, right, Anthony? So we don't see mosquitoes there, which is very, very nice. So comfortable cabins and everything on board for you to enjoy this experience along the river.
Thank you all. So for the folks interested, the deadline to submit your intent to participate, it's a straightforward process, is a copy of your resume or your CV. Send that by February 28th. If you are in Brazil, please send that to Marceli's team at the email internationaloffice@fdc.org.br. If you are joining us from one of the GBSN member schools, please send that to me by the 28th. I'm very excited. I'm Brazilian myself. I'm excited to go back with the group of these professors and with Marcelo to Manaus. I haven't been there myself, so an extraordinary opportunity to get to know the folks in that very beautiful region of the world. I don't see any more questions in the chat. I will stop the recording and thank you for joining, and we can stick around a few minutes to see if anyone has other questions. Thank you again.
Thank you.